Hey everybody, welcome back to your free TV. It is Monday, June 23rd here, otherwise known as the Peace in the Middle East Day. I'm so glad to be back with you here on the channel. I'll jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act on reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence, hatred, or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. All right, I'm so glad to be back with you here. Very interesting, very interesting. I want to always start by saying thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel. I so appreciate you. You make it happen. All right, so it's Monday, and it has been a wild ride, right? It's been a nail biter over the weekend, and I say ride intentionally. I think I'm going to start here. We just had, of course, Trump right before I'm putting this video up, and I'll try to speak a little more calmly, that Trump has announced that there's a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and that there is a sort of 6 to 12 hour window here of completion of their missions. So that's always a little dodgy, and we are, of course, always aware that sort of the biggest stuff here is what the cabal FFs could be. That still is the out there thing, as Israel still seeks regime change in their own rhetoric. And we have, of course, Lindsey Graham just finishing up his long stint there in front of the Senate, doing a huge push for regime change in Israel. And literally right as he's done, Trump announces, "Hey, ceasefire, it's coming, it's done, it's agreed to." So this has been enormous, and I'm going to put on the glasses and we're going to dig into it. But I wanted to say to people in the beginning here that, you know, I would just want to say this, okay? As you believe in God, and as you, have your center, based in God, that you basically don't let what's going on in the Middle East or in any of these conflicts destroy your happiness or your just steady center. Stay firm in that center, and instead focus locally on the actions you can do, okay, to be working towards the change of this country to be, again, the republic it's meant to be. Local action, precinctstrategy.com. Getting involved locally is huge. And speaking of Lindsey Graham, he has a great contender going up against him, Mike Lynch in South Carolina, who, has the right stuff, as Trump would say, to really beat Lindsey Graham. So we're going to jump in. It's been huge. And, when I saw Trump on his trip to Bedminster, he basically had said, people really, when he was asked a question by the reporter, he said, people need to really watch what they say right now, and they also really need to be very careful how they use their mouths. And at that point, I sort of figured out, okay, it's on, it's happening, something's happening. And of course, we had this whole theatrical situation where they used, it was exactly what CENTCOM, the Pentagon cash cow military industrial complex, the same operation that they did there in Iran it was used in the, what was it, Top Gun 2 movie. Basically, it was the exact same scenario, okay, that was popularized in Top Gun 2, because they thought this was going to be a real massive World War III kickoff, okay, just like they did with the movie Pearl Harbor, right, and everything that happened there with the ensuing, ongoing, never-ending wars in the Middle East that triggered that. So basically just mentioning that because it was a theatrical event where we have high-level officials in Iran coming out and saying, we already knew that the U.S. was doing these attacks, this Operation Midnight Hammer, and then Trump came out to say today, thank you in advance to Iran for letting us know of these attacks as well. And we know that they had already evacuated, as I said in my last video, and maybe the one before it, they had already evacuated the Qatari Al-Udeid base as well. And so it's been theater on both ends. And what this really is exposing is the mainstream media complicitness with the larger regime, which is the, of course, globalist cabal and the Zionist cabal connected so deeply with the neocons. And every neocon has crawled out of the woodwork to support what Trump did, going in and doing this operation on Fordo and the other two bases. And so let's just jump in here, and I will get with this. I just kind of want to say to everybody, um, and as I said, it's been a wild ride. I want to say to America, you know, you are Trump's like, ride or die. Okay. We, as I said in my last video, trust Trump. Okay. Basically, that this everything that is going on here is a massive attempt to take down the imperial power of the British EU cabal with the Zionists and the Jesuits, and how they manufacture all of the radical Islam situation. Trump is trying to dismantle that entire situation. Okay, it's why he left the G7 early. And we're going to see if he goes to The Hague tomorrow. We had the Japanese prime minister pull out of going to the NATO summit that starts tomorrow. We also had the South Korean president pull out. So I don't know what they know, okay, that's going on in Brussels tomorrow. But I still kind of wish Trump wasn't going to Brussels or flying anywhere right now, because who I don't trust is this UK Pilgrim Society the cabal, the elitist cabal that is behind that are the true, when you talk about Nazis, as Lindsey Graham was trying to say that Iran are the new Nazis. That really who is this cabal is this imperial British regime of the last 400 years, all of their royal counterparts throughout Europe, all the elite banksters, the Jesuits, all of them controlling the money, okay, to try to consolidate power to get us into, of course, the ultimate one world government surveillance state prison planet. All right, and Trump is upturning that. His incredible ability to do so is amazing. And that's what we're seeing here. And what he's going to say at NATO tomorrow is going to be quite, I think, telling. Because today we have Zelensky meeting with King Charles. Okay, Zelensky is meeting with King Charles like you do, right? King Charles, and of course his massive control over so much of the Masonic world and their connections with all of this deep state play to do with the creation of the Muslim Brotherhood, all of it to do with Wahhabism, way back to when it was the Anglo-Iranian oil cartel that became BP, and everything to do with the seven sisters of the oil cartel has been at play for all of these regime changes in Iran, all the creation of the Muslim Brotherhood, the creation of Wahhabism and radical Islam, and the ginning up of these radical Islamic leaders to create this scenario, okay, that they keep pushing. And so while Zelensky's meeting with King Charles today, and then asking for 40 billion a year from NATO, and we had Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran, meeting with Putin today, and Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, and the GRU military intelligence leader Igor Kostyukov in Moscow. All of this came down. And it's very interesting because early in the day there had been Dmitry Medvedev, who basically from Russia, there was this kind of trolling between him and Trump about nukes from Russia and all of this. And Medvedev came out very clearly and said Russia has no plans to share nuclear weapons with Iran. We would never do that. Russia is part of the New START treaty with the United States and have no plans to disrupt that order. The only thing that there is to worry about is countries who aren't part of that treaty. And that sort of is referring to Israel, basically, because Israel is the one that hides their nuclear weapons, that isn't part of, the UN inspection agreement, any of it. And it's very interesting because today we had this come out of George Webb, where in the last day or so we have a massive hit by Iran, and this is what Trump has with this ceasefire. It's very interesting because Israel's being pummeled. There's something like 500,000 Israelis have been fleeing Israel. Like literally about 500,000 Israelis have fled. How they're getting out, I don't know. It's very telling that this is this massive hit on Israel by Iran has been relentless, and having no offensive movement by the USA to get involved has really turned Netanyahu's world upside down, because he looks like 5 years older, after the first week, and now it's 12 days. Trump saying we should call it the 12-day war. But basically, Netanyahu here is on the, I think, the chopping block. But what happened here, as Iran is pummeling everybody's living underground, Haifa and Tel Aviv, and the economy shut down. And what do we have? We have Iran hitting their energy grids, their infrastructure to do with their energy, but they also have been hitting their nuclear facilities, and they also have been hitting what is known as Ness Ziona. George Webb calls it Loch Ness Ziona because it's a monster for what's going on in there. And this gets into the COVID stuff, the agreement with Pfizer, all of it. But basically, this is a biological and chemical weapons secret laboratory facility, massive facility, okay, in this area called Ness Ziona, south of Tel Aviv. And so they've hit this, Iran's hit this, and it's very interesting. This is Israel Institute for Biological Research, that underneath it has these massive facilities. And so that got hit by Iran. And so looking at this, we are seeing, as I said in my last video, Trump defying Netanyahu. Okay, this is to control the beast, okay, control the spider, okay, and the spider's webs that are put out everywhere. Basically, to take the webs down, to take the spider down a few notches. Mossad, absolutely MI6, the EU, and the cabal here going for world dominance. And look at how Putin's been pummeling Ukraine since all of this 12 days has been going on. And very interesting thing about this Ness Ziona attack is it's being reported even in Israeli papers, reporters, even though there's been a total media lockdown. People aren't allowed to know at all what's being hit in Israel, but things are getting out, is that there was multiple children rescued, okay, to do with this facility. And that's very awful and scary, right? But there's multiple children rescued. And so I will just reference, and say to Trump, hey, you want to find where the missing children are? Go to the dumps, go to the deep underground military bases here in this country, and you might find those 500,000 missing children that we're looking for, because there's been at least one of them that had a lawsuit in Montana, basically saying, I've been being held in this underground military base. And I've talked about that a couple months ago, and it just keeps going on. And so, we're seeing things like what happened. There was a great fundraiser that happened over the weekend, a whole kind of 3-day event at this church in Yuba, California, Northern California, where you had people like Lara Logan and Mary Flynn. This is General Flynn's sister, Mary Flynn. She's awesome. Basically, this fundraiser, you can go to peaceofheaven.life, that I'll be linking below, where basically there was this barge off the west coast of America where 817 children were rescued from, 817 children rescued from, that all were tattooed with either an L for labor, an S for sex, or O for organs, okay? And they were rescued. This is massive, and you don't even hear about it. Nope, not a peep from the mainstream news. They're trying to buy a Lomax women's prison that has gone defunct because they defunded everything in California. And basically, it's just a dormitory style, prison that they want to remodel into a place to house and care for these children and provide them all the services and things that they need. And this was going on in this huge MAGA-based political church in Yuba, California. So you can check it out on peaceofheaven.life. This is what we're dealing with these disgusting people. And this peace deal, Trump doing this amazing thing, okay, of, doing the Top Gun attack, right? Basically it being theater, everything removed in advance, just like everything was removed from the Qatar base. And this scenario of exposing through the media how they're bought off and paid for, the neocons bought off and paid for this ongoing, this cash cow new war being exposed masterfully by Trump once again. And so I also wanted to mention before I get back to it, is in Florida, they had Operation Dragonfly. U.S. Marshals rescued 60 kids in the last 2 weeks. And that's amazing. And they said in Georgia, 30 kids had also been rescued in a similar operation. So there is so much going on. Meanwhile, Trump's trying to destroy a 400-year-old system that's controlling the world. Remember what he said to Saudi Arabia. We are here to end these Middle East wars, to end these, religious conflicts based on, Teism attacks across the world, and to take that out. That's taking out the CIA, MI6, all of the entire way that the Imperial British Empire has, and their all of their associates, the Jesuits, the Zionists, the Banksters, the Bankster cabal, all of them, Larry Fink, the Rothschilds, the International Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum, all these, the real Nazis, the real psycho eugenicists, is who Trump is going after, and it's huge. And so don't get caught in the weeds of this thing or that, or be horrified by anything that looks immediate, although we do have to really watch for FF attacks in the USA as a result of this. I would think that is, they're on their last legs, and that would be their big play. But Trump is trying to, when he left the G7 early, not wanting to be there when Zelensky came the next day and seeing what they would do to hobble together their next move. Basically, he said before he left, Russia should be here. This should be G8. And he said, hey, and I wish China would be here too. And basically what he's trying to do is get rid of the imperial, the satanic cabal, okay, of what is the bankster elite. And so he's trying to unite USA and Russia and even China, India, and of course the Arab sovereign nations. And what did he say in Saudi Arabia? We want all sovereign nations to have economic prosperity and the peace that comes with that prosperity. That's how we find peace. And so he did a peace through, strength move here in this whole cosplay situation over the weekend. And now we have this peace ceasefire agreement that came out just an hour ago. So it's quite amazing. It's quite fantastic. And so we're going to just keep digging in here. I would say that Trump knows 100%, okay, that it was the UK, MI6, CIA, FBI, Secret Service, with Ukrainian operatives, Ukrainian patsies that tried to kill him. He knows that it wasn't directly Iran. And so that's already a done deal. And when we look at where Trump's ire is and where his backbone is and who he knows are his real enemies, he knows it's them. And he's trying to dismantle their control over the United States. So it's been quite a ride, but it is this is what we signed up for. Okay, is this American Revolution 2.0 escape finally from the British Empire, which is the UK, the European International, Pilgrim Society, Jesuits, the cabal. Okay, the cabal united in their brotherhood that at the top levels is the Satanic Brotherhood, and their commitment to slavery, human enslavement, the the total surveillance state, all of it. So you'll own nothing, be happy kind of situation. And in Ireland right now, they're basically trying to change it to you have to be a involuntary organ donor, right? Just as they're trying to do here in the United States, where before you got the option, if you want to donate organs or not. I know in Texas, other places, and they're lobbying for it in DC, where they're trying to say, hey, no, 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 if you got organs and you're about to die, you got to give them up, right? And that's what they're doing hugely in Ireland, who is fighting back hugely. You've got the Irish Freedom Party really fighting back, and we just pray for Ireland, always do, because they have been inundated so massively with only 4 million Irish, that it has been incredible how they've been able to just destroy that country, now being 25% Muslim, and it's absolutely. I believe the Irish will prevail. They will prevail because as Trump goes after the whole EU cabal, it's quite likely that sovereign nation states are going to take back Europe, and it's very exciting. And on that note, as a warning, when you look at what happened to places like London, you have, of course, the Muslim mayor there of London destroying London, okay, where now there's just women in full burqas and massive, Palestinian and Arab protests in the streets, and of course the murders and all of it, the rapes, the gangs. Well, here in New York, we have who's winning, who's ahead right now, very similar to how other races have been won for the mayoral election in New York City, is we have our own version of that going on with Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani is actually leading the race, according to probably skewed polls with lots of election fraud that they're intending, right? As Elise Stefanik is getting ready to run for governor, I believe, so good on her. But Zohran Mamdani claiming that he is Donald Trump, his vow when he gets elected as mayor of New York City is to be Donald Trump's worst nightmare, basically echoing Letitia James and whoever else. But he is a democratic socialist Muslim, okay, born in Uganda and raised in New York City. His father is a professor at Columbia, okay, where all of this has been financed to do this, create this Cloward and Piven situation on the elite universities, going to Harvard and everywhere else. But his father is a Columbia professor, Mahmoud Mamdani, and his mother, Mir Nair, she's an Indian filmmaker, quite famous. She's movies like Monsoon Wedding and others. And so those are his parents. He went to Bowdoin College, and at Bowdoin, he founded the Students for Justice in Palestine. And so, and whoever wins this primary, the Democratic primary, it's him against Cuomo, the genocidal psycho pervert, right? And so it's like, oh God. And then, of course, they're going against Mayor Adams, okay, who's been, I'm going independent because you Democrats tried to totally just, drive me into the ground. And so they'll go against Adams. And so this is very interesting. Zohran Mamdani, as a Muslim leader of the most famous city in America, New York City, okay, this is what he wants. He would like to have city-run supermarkets, city-owned and run supermarkets with total price controls, total communist Soviet style, okay? We're going to make sure that the people don't have to pay too much for food. So we're going full communist, full socialist, communist, to that New York City will own the supermarkets, and you will wait in that bread line and he wants rent controls massively across the city, and he also wants free public transportation for everybody. And, in a perfect world, wouldn't that be nice to have, just free public transportation, or just affordable, uh, and and it used to be. But who jacks up these prices has been, okay, the leftist people who come in and then charge people to live in any way. Okay, they just keep upping it, upping it. It's climate, it's this. You're riding the train, it's killing the planet. You have to tax it. You have to tax it. But no, he's going to come in and basically be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. So I wanted to bring Zohran Mamdani to your attention, and if you're in New York, to really get involved in this mayoral election. And Adams, yeah, he let all the, he let in all of the everything that he was told to do until they went after him so hard that now he's removed himself from that and aligned more with the Trump agenda. So I just wanted to let you know about that. And then I also want to let people know that Thune, okay, leader of the Senate, he's come out and said that the Senate will not be leaving. They won't go on holiday. They're going to stay in session. I wonder if it's true until the big beautiful bill is passed. Okay, so this is huge that they're actually going to work, right? Could they just pass a few bills like Tim Burchett's bill to stop the 40 million plus going to Afghanistan, Taliban every week? Could they just get some stuff done? That's Congress, of course, with Burchett. But we have people like MTG, who's fantastic. She's saying, as it is, the big beautiful bill, can't vote for it. You've got Ron Johnson in the Senate. No, no, no. It's doing all this crazy spending, and we need to pull it back. Everybody's really, really worried about the AI component, where it takes away the ability of the states to control AI, pass bills regulating AI in the states, and of course, as people always ask. Uh, Okay, sorry, I had to read something here with Trump. He just, 12 hours until the final completion of missions. And we have to wonder what those are that Trump is putting out on Truth Social, the final completion of missions between Iran and Israel. And so, but back to what I was saying with the big, beautiful bill, good news that Thune says we're not going to leave, that they're actually going to work to get this bill passed by July 4th. But with the AI situation, and now AI is trying to steal every single copyright. They want permission to basically raid, the Library of Congress, raid every single thing that you've written, that people have worked with their lifeblood to create, everything, whether it's novels or news or information or videos or poetry or music. They just want to be able to plow through your copyrights and dig that for machine learning. And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, multiple others are like, no, this is not happening. And the situation in there is, I think that they're part of what this AI thing is that they're very concerned with California actually giving, changing laws and doing all kinds of things to actually really concentrate the power of over AI, where all of the Silicon Valley companies are coming out from, Palantir, Google, everybody who is located there, is that they're worried that California is going to make tons of money for California by giving California the ability to control of what's going on in AI. And there's an argument for that, and that's not what I'm doing in this video, but I wanted to bring it up there that this is something that is part of that whole scenario. And so let's see what else. It's going to be kind of a shorty today. I think I've said a lot of it, but I think if I had something that I wanted to emphasize here towards the end of the video, is that, we have all of the Arab countries coming out, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, everybody denouncing Iran's attack. being very clear, okay, that they support what Trump is trying to do, which is to create sovereign Arab countries that don't rely on fighting anymore. And also, they're giving that message strongly to Israel that there's no more of these endless wars and attacks to make giant tons of money for neocons to support this EU British Imperial cabal with the Pilgrim Society running everybody through the SES, Senior Executive Service members, and the deep state embeds in the US government to keep funding this out of the Pentagon, and especially through CENTCOM. Okay, and I meant to mention earlier that when we look at CENTCOM and General Kurrilla, and the interesting thing where it was really General Kane who was in charge of this with Hegseth, but it was the playbook of something that these stealth bombers had been practicing these missions, these pilots out of Missouri for years and years and years. Okay, this exact scenario of going to take out these bases in Iran. And when we look at this, it doesn't really look like they dropped bunker buster bombs on Iran. It doesn't really look like that. And there's a lot of theater here. And whether they did or didn't, Trump has come out on the fake media basically saying, hey, I said it's obliterated, it's obliterated. And, who are you to challenge that? And where are you getting your information? And basically trying to call out all of the Mossad, MI6, CIA control of our mainstream media and the banksters. And so basically I wanted to just kind of say here that the end game here for Trump, and why we all need to sit tight and just really, I'll just say it, trust Trump, okay? Because our job is to do everything local we need to do. And if you want to sit and fixate on everything Trump's doing, you're going to lose your life energy to do what you need to do. In your local actions, your local governments, precinct strategy, whatever it is, to actually, it's our local embedded operatives that need to get routed out. And Trump can't do that. He can't do that in the States, okay? He's handling the incredible, what the globalists are fearing so much is this 2% increase in income for blue-collar America. They're watching as the immigrants are, the illegal aliens are being deported, that Americans are swooping in to apply for those jobs. And they're watching how this we need cheap foreign labor in order to just survive scenario, and we need forever wars, okay, in order to have economies scenario of the deep state empire, okay, out of King Charles and the royalty out of the Netherlands and Liechtenstein and all of them that they're dependent on to create a slavery state, is that's what Trump's getting rid of. War. He wants peace between sovereign nations, creating amazing trade deals that if you look at China as this massive manufacturing power, you've got Russia with massive amounts of natural resources, you have the USA with its incredible technology base, and so much else besides, and India. We have the potential to create a peaceful world based on the attributes, the strengths of the different nations now, and to mutually support that for mutual benefit and abundance. And so, as Trump is trying to dismantle the British elite imperial system of the last 400 years, and how that's been the model for everything of the Anglo-Atlantic complex, it's very, very exciting. And I'm going to link a great video below by Susan Kokinda that was just so good that I want you to listen to, where she basically is saying, Trump is basically committed to a new world of sovereign nations, and that he's going against the Zionists, the neocons, the leftist Marxists, the radical jihadists. They're all created by the British, the British elites with the Banksters, okay, MI6 and CIA, and all of them controlled by this Eurocentric. It's not about it being, white Europeans at all. Actually, it's about this elite system where they brought everybody in through these various elite societies and brotherhoods and royals to create a domination plan. And that's what they've been putting out across the world. And basically, there won't be that going on, okay, as long as Trump has a say and as long as Besant is kicking out of the park with the tariff deals, which are about sovereign nations working out fair trade. And as long as they can, I'm really eager to see what's going to happen here at NATO tomorrow, because this is going to be very, very interesting. And nothing's ever usually explosive one way or another. And let's hope for no explosives at all whatsoever. But I do think there is a really different day dawning here, and that Trump is executing incredible steps towards getting us closer and closer to a peaceful world. We have Pakistan nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize for the peace deal with India. We have him just finishing up an incredible peace deal between the Congo and Rwanda. And these are the opposite of what the CCP wants, what England wants, what the British royalty want, what the EU international, the European International, these communist green-red alliance people want. And Trump just keeps pulling it off. And we pray for him. We pray for him. So I think I'm going to leave it there. There's always more I could get to, but I will leave all kinds of links below for you to dig into stuff. And tomorrow I'm going to get more into the big, beautiful bill, because we're kind of moving in that direction to get this done, and all the things that you can take action on to help, convince your Congress members and your Senate what they should be doing to make this acceptable, okay, to the American people. All right. So, okay, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you found something that's added value, please support the channel below. It's greatly appreciated. It is, there's all ways to do so. And, just remember, some massive things came out of this 12-day war. And we pray for, from the casualties and everything that Israel did. It's very interesting to see how Trump and the team let them suffer at their own hands, and that we're seeing this sea change. It's huge. It's huge. And the whole OMEC corridor and everything going on there, it's a shift in power away from Israel controlling, okay, what is going on with the OMEC corridor even. There's just so much happening. So anyway, I'll get more into it tomorrow. We'll cover more tomorrow. But I want to mention my sponsor, who are amazing, c60evo.com/YAFTV. This is the incredible miracle molecule ESS60, made in the best lab in the world to create the most powerful carbon-60. It's just state-of-the-art, amazing. And it's in Houston, Texas, so it's American-made. c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. And you can always get 15% off if you donate to the channel. You always get a link to how to get that 15% off and a new code sent to you. And this is the MCT oil, so you get this great recovery from workouts. Basically, what C60 Evo does, it goes into your mitochondria, it cleans it out, takes the garbage out. It's like a giant garbage collector inside of your trillions of cells. Okay, it works your glutathione and your melatonin to get that garbage, flush it out of the body. And of course, healthy cells are the key to longevity. And I'm going to be talking about that this week with incredible longevity studies that that the company here at C60 Evo has been funding and coming up with incredible results. So yeah, that's why the people who have the big C are using it by the caseload and in all of the alternative clinics that are both allopathic and natural together, being on the protocol, and so much else. Okay, just healthy cells are what allow your DNA to repair, your telomeres to keep functioning, and all of it. So check it out, c60evo.com/YAFTV. So thanks so much for listening. Sorry if it was a little bit around the gaff, but I think we have once again just watched the brilliance of the Trump dimension, and just all positive, all prayers, and it's really false flags is the thing that we have to worry about now. So let's just pray, 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 because those prayers are working, and we have this opportunity, Second American Revolution, get the Republic back, finally get away from British Imperial Empire controlling this country. And the EU cabal, all of it. The Jesuits, it's just a giant cabal of satanic awful. And what an incredible time to be alive, to be part of watching it be defied, watching the Trump team have success after success. So, keep your heart hearty, and pray, pray, pray. And I'll see you tomorrow. You are free.